Now welcome back. Oh. So what's again we need? Well, we're gonna need to write this section for here. Okay, close this. We're going to create this section for here because if you look here, you can see we get similar container just like this one, but they're just text. But we get buttons for here. If you now check here, now see we get this YouTube button and not just embedded code where we use for here. But Bootstrap, they give us responsive. So if you make iframe responsive, and then we go use Bootstrap design them. So if I click on, you can see we get a full YouTube video where they show for this our example. So make we do this section for here, right? So I will just close down, go back VS Code. I'll make we say the section we defined. Make I close the section. So for inside this main element here, for this comment, make I just call this as a space. Of this is section spacer. Now this section spacer, I could just use them to give space for any section when we get. I just want to use them to control the spacing. And this div make it get padding for the top and the bottom axis. But I want to make it be from small screen and above. So I'll say from small screen and above only, make the padding, make it be padding 4. And for make we add another class for the margin for the top and bottom also make from small screen also make it just be margin 4. So if I press tab for here, we get that spacer class for there. So this spacer class will just help us give space between each section when we do work with section. So if we add the other section, so the section we define that the about section. So we say about section, and this about section, what we want to add, of course, now this section. So we say section, and this section for inside here, we want a class of about, right? But after that about, make we add another class. We're going to give us some space at the top and at the bottom. So I can say class of py, right? Py, and I will say -5 for there. Once I don't done like this and I press tab, we feel they write our about page for inside here. Now the first class we define now to wrap everything inside the container. So I'll say container, and this after this class of container, I go like make this container make it get a row inside them. So I will say row, and I want a class of row, sorry. So for inside this class of row, I can say make it get a column now. So I can say I want another class of column, which we say by default it will be column 12. But whenever we day medium screen and above, make it just be column 5 or make it just get 5 column. So I could just say column. Don't forget to add the class. So I will say 12, -12. And I also want the class, make it just be, or the column, make it be from MD or from medium screen, make it just be 5 for there. So if I just press tab for there, well, one can they add our H1s, our text, and our all those things. So make we go back the example, make we see which ones we need. So what we need to say, we're going to need this text for here, which could be a H6. I'm going to need this text for here, which could be H2. And then we're going to need this text for here, which could be a paragraph. And then we need like to list out all these items for here. Because you just say these things, this not like an image and an image, no be icon on an image with this, and this one just text with this. But they list them sideways, right? And then we go come write another row, we go another column, we go help us keep or they maintain this our video for us. So make we go back into our example for here. So make we start to add the items for inside this column. So the first thing we're going to do now say we want a div. And this div, we want to make the text dey the center. So we say text center. So just like before, we could say text dash MD for medium screen start. So if I say make we go down for inside down, we can say now we define the H6. For this H6 now, we want to give them a blue text. So how we take down? Well, we could just say we want a class. So we say class of text dash primary. Now that's going to give us a blue text. And then what's going to give me the time? Well, we want just add the text. So we'll say waiting country, the question mark for there. And then maybe go to the next item for here. So we want the H2. And this H2, we want to give them a class of FW dash bold. We'll say bold. All right. Once we're done like this, now if we add any content we want inside this our H2. So what we're going to do is say we want to write some text. So I will say so what add to country social network, now the text we go write for them. But if we press save and see that text for there, you go to say some differences they there, but we could get there in a bit. We could fix that issue. Now, make we go into the paragraph. Make we add the p tag, and of course we could just add a class of, because now great text. So to say we want a class of text dash muted. And after this text muted, what we want just add our lorem ipsum for here. So once I do this like this, so make we just say we want a UL. And this UL will be defined here. And say we define the class of list group. So we say list dash group. And after this list group, we also find another class of list dash dash group and hyphen or dash horizontal, because we want make the buttons make it day horizontal. So we say horizontal. We want make this list rather make it day horizontal. And if I say make we press it like this, and then we add the remaining items, so I will say link or li, and I want make this li make it get a class of list dash group dash item. I will say border, and this border we define, we will say we don't want to make it show for at all. We don't want to make it show any border. I'm going to say make it get padding for the left and the right, or down at px, and then go set them to no padding for the left and for the right. But by default, make all the all the li, make them they behave or make they style like h6. This is not just Bootstrap classes. So I see I just keep spaces there, make I keep dot dot dot, and I just style them the way I want style them, make an effects. We could press tab for there. So now we get this this li, we get all these classes where we need for here. Now for inside this li, what's again we need? Well, we just need an image. So we say img. And after this image, we go say we define the assets. So we say dot slash assets, and after the assets, we define the radio. So we say radio.svg. We could just say collaborate. Make we add the text for the other item for the list. So we go say the text will define now. So now if I press save, we're supposed to get a group of items or one item for now, and then we go each cross check whether we don't miss anything for our code. So make we cross check our code. Go back to the example, and you see say now we get the text for here, we get the styling of the of this text for here, but we can go back here. But if we check here, we get this collaborate for here, and we get this dummy text lorem ipsum ready for here. So what's again we need? Well, I would like make we go back our VS Code, add the remaining items we need for here, and then we go just check as they behave responsive. Go back into our VS Code, and instead of this collaborate for here, I could just highlight the li, and we will duplicate the code 2 more times. So I could say 2 more times. All right. As we don't duplicate them 2 more times, we could just say message juice, and then the other text will define as share. We'll say share, and then we could change the alt text for here. We'll say share, and then we could just change this other icon text. I press save, and then scroll down a bit. Make we see whether the remaining items go to show, and make we see which stylings we're going to change. So we can go back to example or the work in progress. I just say our 3 items they show. But if you look here, you go see everything they close to one another. And if you check the responsive behavior, you go see say you get as they behave on a responsive level. So if I scroll down small, you go see say the text get as it be, it just move to the side. They show for the bottom, they show for the center as we for like it is show for this edge for here. You say they move on the side, or like this ones, they show for here. So make we fix that issue. For inside this VS Code, what I would like to do is say for inside this UL where we get for here, what we want to do is say we want to add some other classes. Class we want to add is say justify the content for the center by default. So we say justify content center. And as we justify for the center, we could also like justify content or one down for the MD start. And then maybe we put some space beside them. So we say gap dash 4. And this is say now we just get these buttons for here. So this is say now we get this gap where they give us this space for here. When we start to reduce the screen, this is say they show for the starting of our site. So we could just reduce them again. Aha, and now you don't arrange to justify content center, so it fire once a day by default to the center. So we go to arrange for the center, but once we know the command to medium screen, boom, it go just rearrange itself to this side. And you see as it arrange itself, rearrange, it don't spread, it don't spread, it don't spread. So that now waiting we try do for this side. So now waiting again we're supposed to. If now look this text for here, you go see say na country where we get, but this country now the same color as this one. Now this blue, this text primary where we get all over the place, right? So we want make it carry that same blue for here. But this now one text, now one element, now they do this one. So how we go take next another element inside this title where we get for here? Make we look our own. For inside this our own, you go see we just write one H2. And this H2, we just no add any other kind of special thing for here. And our text special, or it just the one special network where they here. You suppose they the next line from I say special for social. You suppose they the next line, right? So how we take do am? Make we enter back inside our VS Code, and then make we start to add those changes to our code. So for inside here, for inside this H2 where we get for here, what I would like to say, I would like make we go inside to this Y join tool. And for this tool for here like this, we could just add a span for there. So I could just say I want a span, and we can give a space. I will say I want a span, so I can just say I want a span, and we can close on there. And this span now will be defined for here. What I want to say, I want to put the country inside them. So I could just convert this country code, cut them, paste them inside here. And now for inside this country here, it go they behave, it go they inside this whole country and all that, this element, it go they nested inside this H2, inside this H2 element, it go feel they nested into them. Means say it go feel be picking of them. And again, another one where I feel like do also. You see this social now where they here, where they this social network, because it a day up, I go like make it a day down or also the code. So if I say make I press save now, for example, and say make we go back into our site of the okay, we say this social day here. So I go like break them down. Then now where we go use the breakpoint, right? Or I say breakpoint. Now where we go use the BR. So I could just say I want a break element. So I say BR, and it go help us make I just close am, self-closing. So just like this. And I go say once it just reach our social, make it break the social to the bottom. And then make we add the color for this text already defined. So we just say class of text dash primary, right? Primary. Now if I save them, it's supposed to give us that blue text, and this social network will break down, and make we test now. And this is it now. We get that class. They work fine for us as we expect. Make it work for us. So waiting again, we go need to, well, make we go back into our demo, and we're going to need to add this iframe for here. So this is not iframe, and this is not video iframe. We go get them from YouTube, and then we go just like make this iframe, make it carry this rounded shape. We want make it day rounded and make it day also responsive. So if I say make I check the finished version of that, press F12 or inspect for here, you click inspect, you go see say this video for here, it they responsive. Let me say, make I use it small. Let me say if they reduce this video, just now they look this video, if they reduce the screen, they still say it don't jump, come small also. You know, just they stand the bang for there. You just reduce, and when you don't reach decent level like this, when you don't drop small, it still say it don't fire go the bottom. Of course, that's not the role where they handle it, but the video they do very responsive. They respond small. You see, I'm saying they respond small, and even for small screen, people will get small screen fit still watch that video. So make we go do the same for our own. So now we don't already guess right. Say we go write down for the next row. So the next column, sorry. So we'll go that column now. Remember the column we use now, this column for here. So we'll just minimize this first column. And then what we want to say, we want make a first comment this div. Okay, so what we want to say, we want to write the other column, because now two columns we define for inside this grid, right? So how we go take do that second column? Well, the thing we're going to do now, say we go just redefine another column for inside this row. Remember saying our rows and column, we want to define I'm still inside this row. So the other column, we want a div with a class of column. And which column we define? Well, by default, we want to make it column 12, just like before. And just like the other one, we also want to make it also be for column for the medium screen size. We also want to make it be 5, make it take 5. So in total, these two columns could be 10 for medium screen, but for other screens, it could be 12 by default. Meaning say it could take it could take a whole row by itself for them. So if we go for inside this div, and now for inside this div, what we want to add? That are the ratio class. So we go use, say we want a div, and this div, we want to make this div the ratio. So I have to say ratio, and this ratio, it could help us, they arrange the ratio, the aspect ratio of the video where we work with. So if I say make we press tab for them, now here inside this ratio class, now I'm going to add the kind the iframe where we want to work with for here. So I could just say make we create an iframe. So I could say I want an iframe, and this iframe we want to add the source. So make I just quickly copy the source from the finished version, which na link. Una fit add any video for there. Una fit get any embedded YouTube code for there, and then you go paste them there into your iframe, and this could give us the iframe. But for now, I dey use this my embed code for our YouTube video we dey work with. So, and then we go add the remaining attributes for there. Then I will just say I want a title. This one normal HTML attributes, this iframe. Now HTML they do am, no be Bootstrap they do am for us. But now just say the child of this ratio now iframe. So that now waiting me they try do. So I could just say the title of this now our YouTube video with this now. So I just say YouTube, where's our YouTube video with this, right? And make we say we don't want a border, make we leave border like that for 0, you know, to matter, but make we just leave it like so. And then make we say we want make we allow full screen, okay? And then also make we add our class now. So which class do they find? Well, we just want make this video make it rounded. So we'll say want a class of rounded. Then we'll say -4. So you go just round for the edges as we go like make it round for the edges. So we can see our example we work with for here, our finish code. Now if I press save, you not go see anything. So why we not see anything? Oh, I never add one more class for here. So you get one other class where I for like add, and that now the class of ratio, and I want to say ratio dash, and now the size we are defined. I want them 16:9. So I want make the aspect ratio be 16 times 9. So I'd say 9 for there. And if I save up, if you change the aspect ratio to 1:1, if you change the aspect ratio to anything we want to make, I just open up. I just say now our iframe don't they show for here. But if you look here, of course, you go notice say for the finished version, the iframe they jump come this side. But our own, they come jump enter that side. They show somewhere else. Our own they show for here. So make we try rearrange and make we fix and make it come this side at all times. So make we go back into the code. Make I minimize this one small. We go like we say if we push this our video, we want make our video take half and half for medium screen, right? So make them 6. So first we want make for medium screen, make it take 6 column for here. So already this they take 6 column. But if you check out, because this one are 5 column, make I reduce them. So because this side now 5 column and this side now 6 column, we get this extra space where we know want. Because if you look the other side, the finished version, you go see say this extra space, today here, you get this space, it does give us. So what we go like do? What we go like do be say we want put an offset to run. We want make offset day. So how we go take do that offset? Well, as I take talk now, so we go take do am. We go like say we want an offset dash, and then we could just set that offset for the medium screen, but we could just say make it just move the offset by 1 column. So we could just move that offset by 1, and just like that, like magic, our element don't they stay, don't they give us some space, and the offset don't they move. If you increase the offset to 2 to 3 and so on and so forth, and it could still behave with a different way. So of course, if we move the offset to 2, it go jump come the bottom here because it don't move 6 plus 2. So we don't want that. We want make the offset be offset 1 because here we get offset set to 5, and that will give us the code where we define for there. So waiting again, we go like add. Make we go back the finished version. Make we see waiting again, we go like add. So if you look here, you'll see say, okay, I close this tab small. You'll say now we get this 3 cards for here, or rather 2 cards for here, and this one no be card at all. But we say as we take a range and we say we get this icon, carry all these images for here. We carry this again, we go use that span trick for here, and we go use that thing also for here also. But what we want to be say, we want just make it very responsive. We want make it just show nice on all screen sizes. These cards where they work with for here, and we want to arrange them, make them get shadow. I don't know if you see the shadow for here. We want make it also get a shadow for there. So if they drop the screen for now, you could notice say for here, just they look this text for here, they look this text for here. We go use orders. We go try use Bootstrap orders, and we go use them to the order all the page. I want make it show. If they see say now that text don't wait they decide before, don't jump come this stop for here. So we use Bootstrap order. We can order this column, make the orders they change for different screen sizes. So if you see how say we don't drop them, and now this card it don't flat, it don't drop also in itself. Say make it drop on top one another, make it stack on top one another, and for here they beside each other. for this screen size. So if we pull them again, we see say now that text where they up, we suppose they here, it don't, we suppose they up here, it don't fall, come back here for any larger screen size and so on and so forth. So make we try do that kind of thing for this our own. So the first thing we go do, now say we want to go back into our code and make I just make this bigger for us. And now for inside this code, what we go like do? Of course, we go like just create our own section, right? So make we create that section. So to get that section, make we say we want to close this entire section for here, and make we say just after that section for there, make we say we want to create another spacer. So what I would like to do is say I want to create another spacer. Remember that spacer where we draw before, this spacer for here. I want to just copy this spacer for here. We just duplicate and just to give us that space when we get our own trick to the keep space after each section. You don't need that, but now waiting we they try do, we they try create a custom design and we go do whatever we can with Bootstrap to make sure say the design work for us well. So what we want to do? Well, the next section we're gonna make now say we want a section we get a class of achievements. So we go say achieve, and we want to make this class of achievements. Make we press tab first, and then just like before, like the other section, what we want to do is say we'll make it get padding for py5. So which class we want first add for this achievement section? Well, we could like first add our container. So we'll say we want a class of container. And after this class of container, what we want to be saying, we want to make it get a row. So we'll say we want a class of row. Like I just press tab there. The first thing we're going to do is say we want to put like a gap beside each of the elements. So we're going to say we want a G-4. No be gap, but G. That means say if we do say we want gap for the left or for the right, that for the x-axis, and one gap for the y-axis, stand for the top and for the bottom. So we just call that G. But if not, we for just say if we want for the sides, we want GX or we want GY. You know, GY like this, and it will still give us this for the top and for the bottom, and X will give us for left and right. But waiting one now just G, right? So G for then a gap for the for only inside this row. Now we put them. So anything inside this row, now so they're going to behave. Then the first column we define now, say we define a class of column, but the column we define now column 12. And this column 12, sorry, column dash 12, and this column 12, what we define now, say we want give them another class. You can see 12 and here, and we want give them another class now, this first column 12. But the column we want give them now for this column, we want make for anything for medium screen, make it be column 6. Make it take half of this column when it did medium screen, or make it be column 6 when it did medium screen. But when it did large screen, so we'll say column LG or hyphen or dash LG dash, and then we go say for large screen, make it just take 4 columns. So now that 4 columns out of 12, now we want to make this column, make it take, but by default, make it be 12 column. Meaning say make it spread throughout the whole page where they work with. So make we go, make we set them and say make we start to add our card for here. But what I for like do be say I want stretch, make I just duplicate this code since the second column will behave the same way. So I could just duplicate that. And now we get these 2 columns of where they behave the exact same way. But the last column, make we never add them yet. I go like make we wait. Then make we first add the card before we add the last column. So how to take add the card? Well, since the cards then they're very similar, I want a class of card. And as I don't define that card, what I want to do is say, okay, open up for here. And inside this div, what I want for inside this card, now say I want a card body. So every card for Bootstrap, it needs a card body. So I could say, make this div, give me a class of card dash body. And if I say I get this card body, now here all the contents where I want to write inside the card, will they stay? For inside this card body, I want write the icons for here. In fact, let me go back to the example. Let me see what we do for the finished version. So if you say I get this card, and this card, I want to do web say I get this icon and I get this text for the side by side. And I want to web say we get these images also, and then we get this text side by side. So what I want to do is say I want to put this inside one div and I want to put this one inside another div. You understand? And then the remaining ones they go arrange themselves underneath each other. But these two elements they go they in own div, just like here also they go they their own div. So make we try go back our code, make we try do like that. So for the card body, what I want to say, I want a class. We get a H stack. So I could say H stack. And this H stack, after we don't do the H stack, I will also find a class gap dash 4. So I will say gap dash 4. So which elements we want? Well, we want first the I. Then we want the I element, and this element we want make it get class for us. So we want make this I make it get a class of bi, because now we go start to add bootstrap icons. Remember, I said that icon when we get then a star. So we go like add bootstrap icon. So we go say, in fact, make I just do like this, make we not get confused. So I go say I want this I tag, and this I tag. What I go say I want for here be say I want a class, and this class, I'll make it be bootstrap. Since we use bootstrap icon, I go say I want bootstrap icon that's bi, and then I go say a space, and I want another class. So which kind of bootstrap class I want? The way they define bootstrap icons now, so you go first need to write the bi, meaning say you write bootstrap icon, and then you go first add on, you go add the kind elements where you define. So for this case, we define bootstrap and dash bootstrap icon dash star. And if I say star like this suppose give me a bootstrap icon. So if I say make I press save for here, and then make we add the other elements even. So make I add the other elements, which could be H5. So we go see the stacking. We go say H5, and this H5, I want to add a class for there. So which class I want? I define the class of card title. So I will say card dash title or titler title. And this card title, make we first save am, then make we go see wetin we dey do for here. So make I save this first, and then make I drop this group, make I press C, and then make we go back our own where we work with. So if you look down here, you go see say we get this card, we get the icon, but we never add the text. So make we add that text for the H2. We never add the text for here. So we'll just say this rating 4.8 rating, and we could just save it like that. So we could go back to the example and see what we get. So this is saying now we get this H stack for here. Meaning say they go to arrange themselves side by side, and they go to give space. Then I'm waiting this class of gap don't help us do for here. So that class of gap, it don't help us arrange the class for there. But if you look here, you go see say this text now what? Now this icon, sorry, now different color it be, and it is small compared to the other one where they big like the text and all that good stuff. So make we add those other classes to make sure say our code now the same thing with the design. So make we go into the star, and this class of star, we want to say we will define a text dash primary. So I can say we define text primary for there. And after the star, I want to make this class also, make it also be, make we say fs, that are the font size. I want to make it be 4. So fs for Bootstrap just means say we dey try change the font size. That's not what fs mean for Bootstrap. And also before now, before I go forget, make I just show you some kind other examples. If you want to change this icon now to any other thing, which we go still do later, you go just need to change the star to any other thing. So first you go say bi and then the thing, and then we go change them. So if I change them to Facebook, Twitter, and all that, now that time we go to change the star for here. So that's how the icon they work for us for there. So what thing again we go like add? Well, we go like make sure say we even add for inside this our H5, we want give them a sort of like a margin, make margin no day around now, because now if you check our finish demo for here, you can see we get this space for the top. And because Bootstrap, they give all our headings, they give them this margin automatically. It always come with margin by default, because you know, say I don't add any margin here, but they give me margins, they give me their own space. Then Bootstrap, they give us the spaces for here, for this place by default. So whenever we don't want that Bootstrap margin, no problem. We could just say we want M, and we want set that margin, make all the margin make it off. If you do margin top off and margin bottom MB 0, but make we just do say we don't want any margin at all for this side. So if I say make we check again, you go to say now the text don't arrange itself and the margin don't dey show for there. So another thing we have for like make we do, I just say the space for this gap here is too much, so make we change them to 3. And now when we get that gap as 3 for there, so for inside after this div, this first H stack what we get for here, make I scroll down small, you'll also say we need more divs, so make we add the other divs. I just say I want a class of H stack, and this class of H stack now again we want make it get all other classes. So which class we define? Well, just like before, we define the class of I say class for there, I will define gap dash 3. And as we don't add that gap 3, because every H stack they use gap, we also want a margin for the top and for the bottom, but we want them to dash 3 also. So we go say we want margin for the top and for the bottom for the y-axis, but we want set them to, instead of 4, we want set them to 3. Now if I save them like that, we could suppose get another div. We go to wrap our elements the way this type self they wrap for here. And then maybe we can add the remaining children for them. So I want to create my own custom class for here. So I could just say I want to make this class just to hold this element, make it just behave as class. We're going to hold the whole element for all the images and make another class they hold them for another side. So I could say I want a class of users, just for users, we go help us to hold the user and their images. So I could just say, make this class of users, make it just get image, ing, and image where it go the image where we define for inside this class of users. Now the access, so I could say dot slash, one go the access, but we define the first user, so we'll say user1, we could add the alt tag. So we just say picture of user, and yeah, user1. And then what I would like to do is say I would like add a style or custom style to this user. So how will take down or to this image? So I will say I want to do style. Remember, I said we don't discuss this for the HTML and CSS side of our videos. So if you never watch the HTML or CSS portion of the videos, I beg me go watch them to see how we add these inline styles to our code. Now we will add a width. What we want, we say we want a width, so we want a width, and we want to give this width 30 pixels. Meaning say we don't want to make the picture big past 30 pixels. So I could just say make picture 30 px. So now this 30 pixels now, as we get out for here, I will say okay, make we add another width, make we add a height for this our picture. So I will say I want height, and this height go do color, and this height we are defined for this our picture too. Since we want that like square, I go say I want to make it be 30 pixels. So it will be 30 pixels on height and 30 pixels width where we get for there. And then if I press save for here, I say we could preview the code. So make I just move this to the side for here. You can see say we get this image for here. And this is not the picture of user one, right? But it be like box, round. So how we go take do make it round? By that time, go add some kind other classes to round. So the first thing we go like do be say we go like first add a class or inside this our code. So we say we want a class. And the first class we defined for images, now this rounded that circle. So if we say we get class of rounded circle, if you see say the image, it don't turn to circle for here. Quick for us for there. Then what thing again we want? Well, if you look the other design for here, you go see say you get this different colors, and you get this like border where they surround each of them. That's because Bootstrap they give us some kind of helper classes where we use. So one of the classes we're going to need to use now say we want an image dash thumbnail. So that an img dash thumbnail. Now, if you do it like this image thumbnail, it will help us create an image where get border around them. I don't know if you can see the border for there, but it help us create this border around here. Now, if you look that border, you're not going to see anything. So maybe we give the border a background. So we go say we want a BG dash, and the first one we define a primary. So now we will get a background with we get round shape for here, and we get this round border, which now the blue border we get for there. But if you look this image, you see say the picture they show differently. It they show fine, but if you look this our own, the picture it they draw. You they see say the face they draw that time. So make we open back our VS Code and make we add another class for here. So another styling for here. So because we they work with we they add our CSS for here, what we go like do be say we go like close this width and height, and then we go add one more CSS property, which now object, not spelling word today, object that fits. So we want to do this object fit, but we want set them to cover. Meaning say the image go can't show where we're for us. So now this is say the picture not they pull here. I don't know if I don't see them, but now the object will fit to the cover of waiting these elements be. Now waiting it go arrange itself to be. So as we done that like this, now we get this one image for here. Make we duplicate this code again so that we go feel work with other images for here. So I will just say make we highlight these users, and then I go just duplicate this div or this image. That's Control Shift D, and I go duplicate them again. So now we get three images for this our site where we work with. Just like this one, we get three. But if you look at, you see say the images that they stack on top each other. Well, that's not how we go supposed to do this one, because this ones they separate from each other. So how we go take do them? Well, you suppose get different ways to do them, but make I just show now how I take do this issue. So what I want to do is say I want to change first the image of image 2. So I could say, make we first change the name to 2. And this will be the second person. We could say we want to change the color of this our second image to one warning. And if I don't change that to warning, it will be yellow, right? Because we want background warning, which is now yellow. And then make we say we want also do the same thing for the other image like this. So then we go just change the other image from, oh, sorry, I never even changed the text for here. So the alt tag we will work with. So we go say picture of user 2, just so that if it is consistent, I'm going to say user 3. I'm going to change the image of user 3 for here. And then we can also change the remaining property of the background color. So we'll say make the background color, make it be secondary. And if we save them, this could change from blue to this color. Now, as I said, these pictures, they show side by side and everything, they work all right. But what we want to say, we want to stack them on top each other. One made this one come on top this one made this one come sit down on top this one. I will take down. Simple. What I would like to say, I would like just affect only this middle one, only the margin. I go like make the margin move here. I go like make the margin for here, make it reduce so that this one will jump here. So we just only treat this one with the here. So make we go inside the image 2 or user 2, which is the middle one, right? So we just come there. And for inside this user 2, what we want to do is say we want to set the margin of this user 2. So how we go take do am? Well, we want use negative margins. And Bootstrap no they give us negative margins unless say we can't do some kind. It did disabled by default, but we don't want enable them. So we just want to know the touch Bootstrap settings at all. No go to me define. So we go just use our own styling for here. So we go just say, okay, what we go do for here after this object fit for this image 2, we want to do margin. So we go say margin, and the margin we define. Now say we define margin 0 because we don't want margin for the top and for the bottom, right? But we want margin for the left and for the right. Make it be negative value. So we go say minus 10 pixels. So it go move negatively from 10. Then it go move 10 pixels from the left and 10 pixels from the right. And that one go help us set the images on top each other as it remain like this. So that now another tip for una. If Bootstrap no dey too cooperate with wetin you want do, you go need to improvise or add your own settings for am. So make we come out these images we will work with. So and then make we see wetin again we need. Well, if we look the finish side here, you go see say we get this text for here or this H heading where they here. You go see we get like this small text where they here. If I zoom in a bit small for now, make I zoom in, you can see we get this text for here, and this now like heading, right? So this heading make we add down and make we do that our styling trick to make them different colors because now blue and now black. So we could go back our example and remember say we don't already the make I make this bigger. Remember say we don't already add these images for here. So as we don't add those images, we go just like add after this div where they hold these users. This div for here, make we minimize them. After this div for here, we want another div. We're going to help us to they keep the text also. Because why? Because for inside this our H stack, it they keep everything horizontally stacked, that are side by side. So what we want to be say we don't want we want make a container they stack side by side. So we just they or we want make this divs where they act like containers, they stack side by side. Now what we they try to do for here. So as you don't arrange this text for here, what we go like do after that user there. Now say we want just add a H6 for there, and this H6 we go come add our span for here. So we just say we want a H6, and this H6 we'll come say make this H6 make it get a class of card dash title, and this card title now it will help us they arrange the title of the text where we define. So we want to make this card title make it also get in own other classes, make it remove the margin, of course, make we don't want that margin. So we'll say margin 0, and then we go say we want to add the text where we define. So which text we define? Well, we define text we go tell us say, and make we add a span. So we want a span we go help us hold that blue text, right? And then we go write the remaining. So we want a span. So I will say span. And this span, make it get a class. So I will say class. And I want to make the class be text dash primary. And as we don't write that text primary, I go also like make the text they make it get font weight way bold. So I will say FW dash bold. Sorry, not 2 dash, we'll say 1 dash bold. So now any text we go there here, it go there bold. Then make we add the text we define. So we define plus 1.7 M, and I'm 1.7 million. And then we just want to add one text outside the span, no, but inside this H6, we'll add the text say users, right? So we just say users for there. And if I press save for there, you go see say now we suppose get a text way. Make I just minimize this one. Oops, sorry. I can minimize this one. And this is the now we go get these two elements. They go arrange here one, which now one div, and then this second element it go arrange here, which now one div, also which now one element, but it they wrap this one also, so they act like div for us. So I'm going to check out. Open there. And this is it. Now we get this text for here. Well, if we say we want to add more things to them, oh, not users, but with the S, so I'll add that. We could add the remaining text for here. So how we go take that? Well, very simple. We could just say we want command for that stack, and then make we add the text, and then make we add the link where we want. So make we go back. And for inside here, make I just minimize this. Make we first change this text to users. Why not the tell us users? Make we see. With the S. Okay, good. So as they tell us users for there, make we minimize this one, or rather make we minimize the stack. So just after the stack for here, we won't go underneath that stack. What will they find for after this? Well, they find the paragraph tag, and this paragraph tag, what will they find? They say, we'll make it get a class of card dash text. So we they let this card no say this bootstrap class, no say this now text, not cards, but card. So they let Bootstrap know say this is a card text will be defined for here. And we also find another class which now text muted. So we just want to make the text make it day muted. Then I say make the color make it day muted. Now we don't be familiar with this class already, and then make we add the text we want. So I could just copy the class or the text we get, and I will just add and then make we say for after that text, we also want an anchor. We go just the underneath them. So we say we want an anchor, and this anchor we go just say they go the H we give them any link. That's why they put this hash there so that as a placeholder, it will just help us the click something and it will work for us. But here we want a class. I'll say I want a class, and this class we want, and I say I want a card dash link because we work with card links. So I will say I want a card link, and then I will say also make this card link by default. Every card link will be blue by default. So I will say make this card link, make it change in color. So I will say link dash dark. Meaning say make the color of this card link, make it day dark. Then I could say, okay, make the text dash decoration. I don't make it get any link, any style, make it not get any style by default. Links, they always get their own style, like that underline where they do underline. So I don't want that. So I will say link decoration. And I want to set this link decoration to none. Okay? So I'll say none for there. Then as I don't do, I also want to make this card link, make it day, make the font weight, make it day bold. So I will say FW dash bold. Okay? Now if I don't do that bold for there, so which text I define? Well, I just define the text where they say join community. All right, cool. So now, as I'm not talking like this, it go show join our community. But you get waiting at the like fine. If you look at, you go see we get an icon for this button here. We get an icon where we say it is show for the side. So one other icon. So I say I want an I tag for there, and that's one. I want to make it get a class, and I want to make this class make it the bootstrap icon. So I can say bootstrap icon, but also I want to do the bootstrap icon will be arrow. So I can say bootstrap icon will be then a dash, and then I can say arrow. And if I don't say this arrow, I can choose which kind of arrow I want. So I want the right arrow. Now I will give a link to all these bootstrap icons. When I feel they get all these bootstrap icons, so they know the icon where you go use. As a matter of fact, make me save one first, and then I go show now for the browser. So make I enter back into the Bootstrap, into the browser, and then make we look our example we dey work with for here. And this is say now we get this icon for here, we get this link, we see the inside nested. If I put mouse for here, you can see say they behave like link, this icon. So, all right, make I just go Google, and then make I say I defined Bootstrap 5. In fact, make we go to the main Bootstrap documentation. So if you just go Google and say Bootstrap 5, and then for inside this Bootstrap 5, make sure say you click this Bootstrap 5.2 because now there we did, not 5.0. And because it's not the latest version, right? So Bootstrap 5.0, now wait till they find not 0.2. So if we come here, you could just need click on these icons where they see for here. So if I click these icons, it could open another tab for here. And if you just search Google Bootstrap icons and all that stuff. But now here you could come add them. Remember, say you never they use npm, so no worry about npm for now. But just know say now here you will find all the Bootstrap icons. Then this link for your icons.getbootstrap.com. Now here you go get any Bootstrap icon. You see say all these icons then they here. Now in case you don't forget these icons and you go like find them, so make we say we define arrow, for example. So I take find the arrow. You could just type in arrow for here. Once you type in arrow, once you type in arrow for here, you go see all the arrows we define. So we define the arrow we get right arrow, and there you go click this arrow for here. If you define the one we get box for here, you go click that one for there. Also, you define short one. If you also type short for there, you go see say you get arrow left short, and obviously if you get left short, you go get arrow left right short for there. So you could just click on. Let's say we want to use the arrow short for now, and then you go see say if you download the SVG as an image, or if you just even the how this now so the arrows they show for all the buttons now so they show for all these ones now Bootstrap elements, and so they behave for inside Bootstrap elements. So if you want to even write the SVG, just copy this code and you will get the HTML SVG styling code way there for there. But we don't want to use that. We want to just use this I for here, which are the icon, the font icon, or which icon font for here. So we click on, go copy this code for us. This is now the I tag with the class of arrow short, and then if you paste them inside our code. So if we look here back for inside our own example where we work with, if we come back here, you can see we use the long arrow for here. So make we change them into the short arrow because I like that one much better. So we just say, okay, well, this long arrow for here, if we clear everything, and then we just paste the code we copy from Bootstrap, and that goes to give us the same thing but with a short arrow. So if we check out, you can see say now we get the short arrow for here. All right. Now, because you see for this our own, it dey a bit different. We don't get any styling for around down, it just dey big. But if you look this other one, it dey big, it dey round, it get shadow, it get spacing around down, it dey cleaner. So how we go take do am? Well, we go still get some more classes where we go need add, and make we start to dey add those classes. So first things first, make we affect the card, and make we go the card. Now for inside this card div, wetin I want to be say, I want come dey add different things for inside this card div. So make I first minimize this div wey dey here. As you don minimize that card body, then make we add other elements to the card. So which elements we go like add? Well, we go like add the padding. By default, make the padding be 2. But also for small screen, make the padding for SM for small screen, which na SM. If now don't remember what the SMB, check the previous video. You will understand what the SMB for the previous video. We discussed about them. So for that padding SM, we want make it be 4. We want also make it a rounded, and also make it be rounded 4, just like most of the rounded elements we will get. And then if we press it for now, you go see say now our card could come carry shape, it could come round, it could come fresh. So make we minimize this one, make we see them. You see say now it don't they get space, it don't they round, it don't carry shape. By default, because Bootstrap they give all our cards a border, and this our design don't get border, we want come out the border. So of course, if you don't they pay attention, you're gonna see to come out most things or anything for Bootstrap, and to they use 0 to they come out. So go say we want a border. I want to set the border to 0. Make I close this off. So quotes for there. And if I save them, you just say now we don't get any border for this our code, so or for this our example we work with for here. Now, if we look say because we don't get border, if you look the other one, we get a shadow. So how do we take add shadow for Bootstrap? Well, simple. Just add a class of shadow. No more using CSS to the add shadow. So we'll just say shadow. And once we do that class of shadow, we go get a shadow for around our element. So if you even make the shadow bigger, if you make it smaller, so if you say shadow LG, and that will make the shadow spread. You see the shadow for there, will make the shadow spread where. But no be waiting our design talk, so we just want the normal shadow for there. Just to give us that design, say, oh, something they show for here for the background, right? So now when we get this design and this layout where we work with, so how we go take down? Maybe say we go fit the design the second one. Simple. I'll just, because I know if they write everything all the time, I will just copy them and paste the other card, and then we go style them or change what we need to change for this section of this our card. So make we go back, and then make we make our VS Code bigger, and then I will just kind of copy this code from this card. So I could just copy this code for this card down to the bottom, and then I go paste them inside this my column we will work with for here. So I could paste them here, and if I paste them and I press save, it's supposed to give us another column where we get for the other side. So if you check out, you just see now we get this save for here. So we'll go back into our VS Code, and then make we minimize that first div or first card, and then make we start to work on the second card for here. So I can just minimize this card, first card, because this card is very similar to the first one. What we could like do, say we could like change some of the elements for this card when they work with. So first things first, we could like change the icon, and the icon will define our trophy. So we can say trophy. So as we don't have that one for there, we will say, okay, now the next thing we want now to change the text. So I could change the text to award with a stick to design, remember? So no worry, even if you get this one for here. So we like get rid of these users where we get for here. So make we say we want to come out this div of users. So I could just collapse them, highlight them, and delete them. As we don't delete them for there, make we add the remaining elements we want. So which element we want? Well, we define GitHub element or we define GitHub icon, right? So since we define that GitHub icon, we go like say, okay, make we go back into the browser. I just want to show now. And then make we go back into the icons for here. And then make we try search for GitHub or inside of our Bootstrap icons. So we say GitHub. And once you do GitHub, it will give us this GitHub icon for here. You just say the name and GitHub. So if you just try BI, and BI space, and then another class of BI dash GitHub. And if you don't like that, or if you just click on here, which will be the same code. So we just copy that code for there, which is the I and all that good stuff. And then we'll just come back into our VS Code. And then we'll paste the code inside here. So once I paste down, you see now we get this Bootstrap icon class and we get another Bootstrap icon dash GitHub. And that will give us our GitHub icon. But if you look the icon for the other side, if you now remember, because you say the icon for the other side, now green icon 9B. So we can say we want to make the text dash success or the text color, make it be color of success. So now as we start out like this, the text color will come be green all the time. Now, waiting again we go like do. Well, what we go like do be say we go like change this H6 or the card title. So remember, say every card, say I say car, and I must fix that issue again. Like I say, make I fix that. Normal thing to they do sometimes. But not a good thing, but once in a while we be human beings, we make mistake. So I will say card title. Now if I press it for there, it's supposed to arrange itself for me. Say this is not our card title. So make we go back, check our example. And this is say now we get this our green icon. The card title they show for us well for there now. They work as we expect. So make we change this text for here. So make I just before there, I will say best of, and then we go put this span, and of course this span for here we go leave on there. We go say we define 2022, and then this year, and then we go say on GitHub, right? So we save it like this. It go help us write this best of in black, and it go write 2022 in blue, and then it go help us put this GitHub in black again, just for there. Make we just change only the text for this link. So we say we want come and see awards, right? So we just save it like that, no worry about that. And then we will just look at our example we work with or our own code. So if we look out, we get them just like this. We get the text, we get the come see award. Now for inside this our VS code, where we work with, so what you want to say, we want underneath this column where they here, we want add another column. So which column will we define? Well, we define the column will be column we define now column 12. Make I just press tab for there. The column we define now, even by default, make it be column 12, but normal when they reach large screen, so column LG, make it be 4 for there. So I will say I want a div with the class of text dash center. And if I press tab for there, I want make the text make it for large screen, make it start from the starting. So I will say start. Not be starting, no, start. Now, if I don't talk like this, so now here I think they add all the content where I defined. Well, the first thing we're going to need to do now, say we want a H6 element. And this H6 element, we want to make it get class. And the class we define now text dash primary. Why? Because we want to make the text, make it day blue. So make I just press tab and add, make me add that text. So the text we define now, make I make them big now, way with this, right? So if I save out like this, we suppose get a text, a blue heading text or H6 text, we will tell us say now our way be that. Then make we add the H2 for here. So I will say H2, and this H2, make I just press on there. We want to add some classes to them. Well, the class we will define now, make the font weight, then a FW, make it day bold. So make FW, make it day bold. We want make the font weight, make the, and then we also want to make the text, make it day capitalized. So meaning say make all the picking or all the text where they did the make every word where they did the text, make it they get capitalized letter. You understand? So capitalize, so I'll say capitalize, right? Now, if I don't do like this, all the text where they here could they capitalize for this H2. And then which text will they find? Well, we define text where they say we are connecting work digital life, right? I will just put full stop for them. No worry about the text, we put any text where you want. And then for here, just underneath all this text we define for here, we want a paragraph. Now, this paragraph, we want make it get some kind classes. So make we add those classes. Sorry. Class. Come on. All right. So the class we define now, the class of text center, text dark, because we want make the text make it day dark. So we say text dash dark. And then as we don't do that text dark, what we define, we say we define text, maybe say it get margin for the bottom. But we want make the bottom margin make it do margin bottom 4. But also we want make the margin for the top. So that now MB by default, make it just be margin top 3, not BT. Now margin, not BT. So we want make the margin top make it be set down to 3. And then we just want to add some lorem ipsum for you. So I could just say lorem 20. Don't worry about this one. This one is just my own text where I add for here. And then make we see how it be for our code first. Make we know say we get something where they work well. Make we not go do rubbish. So if you look here, you see say now we get this text for here where they arrange itself, right? Now we get the heading, and we get the text. But you get other things we're going to do. Waiting that we need the button we carry this icon for here. So unlike the other buttons where they here, this one are inverse button, this one are fill button, normal button. But you see say they don't get icons. So just the way we take add these icons for here, and so we take add this icon for here. So make we go back into our code, make we add that button for there now. So I'll open back my VS code, and then we go like add a button to this code. So just underneath here, for under this our text where we get for here, make we add still inside this div. Remember, so we see the inside this div where they work with this div. So I'll say I want a button. So I'll say button, or yeah, I'll just say button. And this button now, I want to add some classes again. So I will say the class we define our BTN, which now Bootstrap class BTN dash primary. Meaning say we want a blue button. So I'll say primary. We define the button at the top and at the bottom to 3. So we'll say py dash 3. Now we're going to say, okay, we define by default a padding on the left and on the right, but one set down to 4, just like the other buttons. So we'll say px 4, and of course we want to make it a rounded. So I will say dash 4, and also wait me define the same. We want to make the font weight, make it just like the other buttons where we done the style already. We'll say make it be FW and make it be semi bold. So this button will just they behave exactly like the other buttons, but we could just add our text where you go say learn more. Now, if you don't talk like this, say one learn more, make we add some other attribute. Make we add the other attribute where we need. So we just say for the type of this button, this type of button like just ordinary button. And then make we add the icons for here. So just for inside here, just after this learn more text, what you want to be say, we want to add an icon. So we say we want the I tag, right? And then we want to make it get a own class. So say class. And the class will define now the bootstrap icon, but also we define the bootstrap icon will get arrow. And this arrow will be defined. We want to make it be arrow right. So we say dash right. And we want also make it be circle. So we say right dash circle. So again, if you don't know these icons, just go check the documentation for the icons. And you will see this circle with icon there. If you just copy the code and paste down there. I save them and I come inside this our button. You will see this icon is there very close to this text for here. And not be waiting we want. Because if you look the other one, we get this space for here. So how we could take move this icon come here? Now, if you just think I'm small before we do it, the way we will take change this icon now say we go need to move this icon to the side. Meaning say we want to make the margin on the starting point from the starting make it move to. So we go say from the left side, which now the starting, because remember say left now S, E now right, or E now end. So we say make it move from the starting, then now here, make it move. If now E, it will move from here, it will move itself again. So always remember that now within Bootstrap, the help us do be that. So now as we don't add these elements like this, make we try check the responsive behavior if two of them is the same. Remember, I say Bootstrap, now mobile first front end framework. We say it first cater for mobile first. It behave for mobile screen first before it started to behave for browsers. So if I started to reduce the screen, reduce, and you see say now it don't jump, enter the bottom here. Why? Because if we check the other one for here, the original design or the finished one, we could check them here. You will see say it jump come the top, right? So if I increase the screen, you see say now this text, okay, they big, they decide. If I drop them, this say now it they up, it no they down. So why this one they down? Well, it they down because our column, it did the last column. So remember, say column 1, column 2, and column 3. So we get these 3 columns for large screen. And for inside this our VS code, make we say, so the class we define for inside this column now the other classes. So we'll say order dash first. Meaning say by default, this class it go dey for the first side. Meaning say by default, we want make this class now make it sit down only for the first row. So if we check am, if we say make we check our example for here, you go see say now the thing don't carry our class come here. So if we start to reduce am now, and you don't carry our column come there, you go see say now it don't they come up, you know they go bottom again. Even though before we been write the code for here, even though before we been write the code for make it stay this column, but you just say now Bootstrap don't help us reorder this column. Maybe say it don't day here now. So how we go take do am? Maybe say for big screen it go day here, but for when we don't they reduce am for small screen it go day here for on top, or it go day first before the remaining columns. At that time we go come say okay, we want responsive styling. So make we go back inside our VS Code. And then as we don't order them for first now, the next one we define, or the next class we define for inside this same column. Remember, say we work with this column for here. Now say we define the order dash LG dash last. So for mobile screen, it go they start from the first, but for large screen or from anything from large screen, it go they start for the last. But anything before that large screen, like medium or small screen, it go they do for the first. So make we test now, make we see how they behave. So if you see say it did the large screen or it did the end for here, but if I dey reduce them, it's say now it did the large screen for here, and it just sit down for there for me. So if I reduce them, it's say it did work for us. Nice, and we get those patterns for here. This is now the power of Bootstrap. So if I increase them again, say it don't arrange and it don't drop for here, and even this our spacing we get for here, which our spacers, it will work for us for this screen. But once we reach small screen, it will disappear our spacers, and we know they get all those spacers maybe they use anyhow for our code. So very interesting stuff maybe they do with Bootstrap. I hope say una they enjoy them so. But for now, that's all we need to learn. I will see you now for the next video. Thank you.